Self-targeting campaigns just got a huge level up on Amazon. If you're a seller of any kind, you have probably at some point tried to target your own specific branded keywords. And this is a pretty useful tactic to make it so that competitors can't actually be advertising on your keywords. This is especially true when looking for things such as sponsored brand campaigns. You can actually see here on Amazon, looking up Chinook will bring up Chinook. And this is because they are advertising from a sponsored brand perspective directly on their own brand keyword. This really helps them keep essentially your brand overall, just anybody searching for it on your specific brand. It means that you get to keep your buyers, their lifetime value goes up. But what if your competitors wanted to try and take that spot from you? Then all of a sudden, your overall cost to actually get that sponsored brand position goes up and up and up. And well, Amazon essentially has decided to say, hey, if you want to keep your sponsored brand keywords, you want to make sure that any brand keyword that somebody is looking up that involves your brand name, you can absolutely do that. And that is where they essentially have released the reserve share of voice. Reserve share of voice is as simple as it seems. It's basically just reaching shoppers in top of search placement to increase brand visibility and share of voice. Basically, exactly this, where if somebody searches Chinook, only Chinook is going to show up. Now, there are a few caveats with this new area. They essentially will, one, show all of the potential suggested keywords that you have, and you have to add a lot of them. You can see here for this brand, Ducky, I just have as many keywords added as possible, literally every single suggested keyword. Now, the second caveat to this is that once you do that, you'll actually go through and you will get this little button where it says get price for campaign. And this will be very, very crucial because it will be dependent entirely on specifically your own keywords. How often are competitors going against them? But the problem with this as a whole is that the very bare minimum, if you want to just own all of your branded keywords for top of search placement, you have to pay a minimum of $6,000 a month. So that is a huge problem to me because if you are a smaller seller, this just means that essentially if you don't have a lot of people essentially bidding against you, you're not going to be able to. Even if you're a small seller, and that's just a huge cost to eat at the end of the day. And this gives a huge, huge benefit, I will say, to really, really large sellers, right? In the sense that really, really large sellers can tend to have a lot of keywords. But if you're a smaller seller and you don't have a lot of competition at the end of the day, this is just not something you can do. And so you can still be overtaken by your competitors. Now, the really interesting thing about this, started to look at this on a few different accounts. This does not stop at just, very low cost for doing the reserve share of your voice. I have seen on some accounts so far that it can cost upwards of $100,000 per month to reserve that. So this is definitely a play by Amazon to say, hey, you can definitely reserve your share of voice. You can make it so that all of your customers are coming direct to you. But if you have some brand that is very competitive and a lot of people are going against it, you're going to pay out the nose for this. So not only do they have a huge minimum here of $6,000 a month for one single campaign, but secondarily to that, they also are going to, if you do have any form of competition, just gouge you as much as possible and say, hey, it's worth this much to you at the end of the day, or this much to us for you to have this. And again, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me, right? Because on one hand, it's guaranteed income, so to speak, for Amazon from essentially saying, hey, this is how much it's going to cost every single month, and you get to have your top search. Versus on the counter, where somebody is searching for a very specific brand name and then a random product shows up that has nothing to do with that brand name. And people are likely not going to always click that product. And so this is one of those areas where it's interesting, I guess, to me for Amazon to make a change like this. But at the same time, at the end of the day, if you're somebody who has a very competitive brand, this may be worth it to you. This is definitely something where it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And for some people, it's going to be a little expensive. And that's going to be kind of rough to deal with. But I think that a lot of brands will benefit from this if they want to, but it's just going to be very costly for them. And I actually have a great example of a brand that it just realistically would never make sense for them to try and do this reserve share of your voice, because if they were to do every single one of the keywords that has their brand name in it and any form of search volume for this reserve your share, it would be for the low, low cost of $77,000 per month as far as their budget goes. And again, this does not mean, and this is, the lifetime budget fixed price at the end of the day. And so there's a little caveat to this, right? In the sense that you could be looking at things such as product collections versus spotlight versus video. And it's not going to be just at the end of the day, the $77,000 is spent every single month, right? It is the aspect that is a lifetime budget for the overall of the actual campaign. But what is lifetime, right? How many months does that get you? How many years? How many clicks does that get you? And Amazon doesn't really give us this information at the moment, which is a bit frustrating on my end, because if I'm somebody who is trying to protect my brand and understand how much I'm going to be paying, I want to know, is that $77,000 going to be 2 weeks? Is it going to be a month? Is it going to be a quarter, a year, 2 years, 5 years? Honestly, if I'm a brand and the idea that I'm going to pay $77,000 to reserve the share of, voice for my specific brand for the, low price of 77K over the course of 5 years, that's a great deal in my opinion, right? I would take that 9 times out of 10 because yes, it is going to be a bit of a cost, right? To essentially have that, but I would say you're only going to be spending, a couple $100 a month comparatively, a couple thousand maybe over the course of 5-10 years. That's a great, great opportunity for a lot of brands. But Amazon doesn't give us that information. And so far, I haven't seen anything showing that this is not going to be basically just a monthly budget. They say lifetime. I don't think it necessarily actually truly means for years on years. And rather, it's essentially Amazon's just testing the waters right now for most brands. So if you do have this, go check it out. If you're somebody who has a lot of issues with competing products and doing self-targeting, this might be a great opportunity for you at the end of the day. But be very wary, in my opinion, because again, until we actually know logistics behind this and how long we're going to be seeing all of this last for the majority of brands, it's one of those that I am kind of hesitant for. And it's just very, very costly, like I said, to be able to do something like this very consistently, and especially if you're going to be trying to do it for products or anything like that and just turn it into a conversion engine. It is going to, yes, increase lifetime value, but at what cost at the end of the day?